na MB Elders, mimi nimekuwa Elders. Najua Hadado vile Glosha alifanya na wale watu yake na vile wanaongea. Watu kama hawa wanastahili warudi Anapos.
The locals accuse the elected leaders of taking too much time fighting each other, forgetting that they are in office to serve the county.
Ukichagua MCA mzuri, anaenda kwa MP kushauriana tufanyaji watu wetu namna hii. Wakiandamana na huyu MP, waende kwa county government kama gavana. Naona sisi tumeamua upande wa kwetu namna hii, location yetu hiko shida namna hii. Watu lakini kama watu hawasikilizani, naona.
The locals are now seeking unity over bigger clans in the area, which include Ajurana, Ogden and Degodia, to elect focused leaders.
Tutashauriana hiyo. Wale wengine huyu ni kabila yangu, huyu atanipatia kazi baadaye, hiyo tunatakuweka kando. Tunatakuweka hawa kando. Hii Wajir tumejua sasa, tulikuwa giza. Lakini sasa tumejua maneno. Wajir, watu wa Wajir, wazee wa Wajir na vijana walioelimika wasipokaa chini kuongea mambo yao wenyewe.
The leaders are urging their peers to ensure that only leaders of integrity are elected to lead the area.
Now, Kenya is hosting the African Regional Labour Administration Centre Governing Council meeting in Nairobi to review its constitution after 46 years of existence. Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection, Jackson Kala, says the meeting is a meaningful step towards strengthening cross-labour movement. The week-long event brings together think tanks in the labour movement from member states, which include Zimbabwe, Namibia, Lesotho, Liberia, Botswana, Egypt and Ethiopia. The African Regional Labour Administration Centre is currently in Zimbabwe.
Bottom line for ARLAC is to achieve decent work for all. This therefore means there is need for a particular and continuing attention in terms of support, capacity building and advisory services. To do this, the ministries of labor in our various states need to adopt these actions and services on a regular basis and develop a new forms of organization management, interventions and innovations. ARLAC is therefore mandated to provide capacity building services to labor administrators.
As a secretariat, we take this task of constitutional review exercise very seriously and firmly believe that this week's exercise is a meaningful step towards a solution for strengthening the governance of ARLAC. A solution that meets the legitimate aspiration of all ARLAC member countries and also a solution based on a strong commitment to each country's membership to ARLAC.
This is coming at a very, very important time, colleagues, when the world all over, including our organization, the ILO, is repositioning itself to consider skills development to be the driver of the labor space.
Residents of Olerai area in Narok North are decrying what they term as reckless behavior by bar owners operating within residential estates in the area. This follows an incident where a young man died inside a local pub after allegedly imbibing excess alcohol. The residents, filled with rage, barricaded the Narok Masai Mara highway, burning various items thrown out from the said bar before security agents intervened to calm the situation.
These were the scenes at the Narok Masai Mara highway in Narok County for the better part of Sunday evening as angry residents obstructed normal operations along the road. The protests coming after a young man was found dead in a bar after overindulging in alcohol.
Kitu saa 2 hivi asubuhi tukapata kusikia ya kwamba huyo kijana alilala kwa hapa kwa bar ambayo inaitwa Handas usiku mzima. Kijana wa familia ya Pere akakuja kujulikana saa 2 ya asubuhi ya kwamba aliaga usiku saa 10. na hakuna mtu aliweza kumuokoa. Kwa hivyo sisi leo tumetokea kama kina mama walio na kilio.
Enraged residents setting on fire items such as chairs and alcohol crates from the pub in question. However, the young man's death seems to have opened hidden wounds among the residents who faulted the establishment of licensed bars and drinking dens within residential estates.
Kwamba sisi tunaumia kwa sababu ya pombe ambayo inauzwa hapa kwa kijiji, na tunachukia pombe ambayo inauzwa ndani ya estate. Juzi kama wiki mbili ambayo imepita, kuna msichana ambaye alikuja kupewa na wakora pombe hapa na akapata kurepiwa, lakini Mungu alikuwa mwema, maana alisaidika na akakimbishwa hospitali kabla hajaaga.
Tumekubaliana ya kwamba hapa kuna wazee wa kijiji ambao kazi yao hasa wanapochaguliwa huwa ni kuangalia kwamba kijiji inakaa mzuri, iko na amani mzuri, hakuna pombe, hakuna utovu wa nidhamu, na kwa hivyo hapa tumekubaliana ya kwamba wale wazee hawako. Wale wazee inasemekana ndio wanakunywa.
It took the intervention of area security agents to contain the situation.
Na license itanyang'anywa wale wote ambao wanaoperate pombe katika sehemu za kuishi. Kwa hivyo kuanzia leo nataka kuhakikishia sisi tumekuwa tukiongoja nyinyi mcomplain ndio leseni ya pale iweze kuchukuliwa. Sisi hatuna uwezo ya kuchukua leseni ya mtu. Kama amefikisha ameweka leseni na anauza ile pombe inahitajika.
Mnaona kwa TV na mwaka pombe na shika watu napeleka kotini, na nyinyi hapa watu wanakunywa pombe na ambusemi. Mnangoja kifo itokee alafu tuanze kulia. Chief, na hii area iko na wazee ya mtaa. Sasa kama hakuna na nyinyi muko, nyinyi si ndio mnakuwa maaskari hapa, mnaleta habari.
Area OCPD Frederick Shiundu warned the residents against taking law into their own hands and instead report such incidents to authorities. Kamchemenza for Lunchtime News.
600 shareholders of Ndithini's Quarters Farm in Cambo County have finally received their title deeds from Eden Park and Country Gardens. This is after the said shareholders completed paying their dues. Elsewhere, over 200 Kiambu tuk-tuk operators took to the streets of Kiambu town protesting alleged harassment by some county officials.
Speaking during the handing over ceremony, Eden Park Director Joseph Njoroge had the beneficiaries to take the opportunity by venturing into horticulture in a bid to enhance agro-business in the county. He cautioned them against selling the land, saying the long wait should now be a joy for them. Njoroge said it was a challenge to process titles due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic.
Kwa nini ubadilishe taito yako saa hii umegojea watu wenyu wamegojea miaka karibu 20 wewe upate hii shamba alafu rudi uze kesho unywe pombe ama ujiingize kwa anasa uharibu. Naomba watu ambao watapata taito tafadhali kama kinara wenyu ama director wa Eden Park msiuze hii shamba.
Meanwhile, over 200 Kiambu tuk-tuk operators took to the streets of Kiambu town, protesting harassment by some county officials.
Sasa tunaomba Dr. Nyoro atusaidie, sisi ni watu wa Kiambu, sisi tulimchagua, sisi tunafuata sheria zote, hata akienda kwa record angalie pesa zenye tunalipa. Nadhani hata hakuna record inakuanga direct kama yetu. Ikifika tarehe 5 tunakuanga tumelipa kanjo.
Nataka Mr. Nyoro ama gavana wetu atuambie hii shida inatokea wapi juu ya makarao wake wenye wametumwa kwa barabara wanakuja kutuharasa.
The irate operators claim the officials have been arresting them without any offense and allegedly demanding a bribe of between 500 and 1,000 shillings.
Ukishika tuktuk uitisha 500 ama 1,000 2,000. Hii tuktuk kutoka Kiambu kuja hapa Kirigiti ama Riafai inabeba watu 3 shilingi 30. Ukiitisha hiyo mtu 2,000 atatoa wapi?
People are feared dead and several others injured after a road crash at Mungatsi along Mumias Busia highway this morning. The morning accident involved 2 matatus, both en route to Busia town. It is reported the 2 drivers were competing to get to the bus stop when one of the drivers lost control as he attempted to overtake a lorry. Traffic police in the area condemned the incident, sounding a firm warning to drivers found disobeying traffic rules. Several people are receiving treatment at Busia Referral Hospital, while those who sustained minor injuries were treated at Nambale Sub-County Referral Hospital. Now, Kenya Union of Domestic Hotels, Educational Institutions, Hospitals and Allied Workers wants the minimum wage enforced by the government. Kudeiha says, as per the labour laws, the minimum wage payable in Kenya is 13,000 shillings and should include paternity and maternity leave. The union also wants employers to ensure that domestic workers are enlisted with the NHIF and NSSF.
Kuweza pia kusaidia wafanyikazi wa nyumbani kutoa ada ya kulipa NHIF ndo waweze pia kufurahia hali yao ya afya.
Mfanyikazi anafaa kulipa 13,572. Yule ni mfanyikazi anakaa kwa nyumba na anapewa mahali amepewa accommodation. Yule hapewi accommodation anafaa apewe 15% ya hiyo pesa ya aweza kwenda kulipa nyumba ile iko karibu na mahali anafanyia kazi. Mikataba mingi sana iko mbele ya parliament tunataka itekelezwe. Kuna C189 rectification C189 tunataka iwe rectified in our parliament, na ikiwa rectified wafanyikazi wa nyumba watapata haki zao in terms of their social protection, in terms of NSF and in terms of NHIF. Ndio sababu tumewaita ili uweze kujua haki zao.
It is high time the Kenyan employers, the Kenyan government and every person who is at home to recognize a domestic worker like any other worker who is entitled to 21 days leave, who is entitled to make sure social security, to make sure that their welfare, including their children, is taken.
The Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers in Taita Taveta County branch have rejected the Teachers Professional Development Training, which was launched by the Teachers Service Commission. The teachers say the move is unconstitutional as they were not involved in its development proposal.
Speaking to journalists, Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers members in Taita Taveta County say teachers and other relevant stakeholders ought to have been consulted. Taita Taveta County Kupet Secretary General Shadrack Mutungi urged teachers in the county to join hands with their colleagues countrywide to reject the proposal.
It cannot promote the over 30,000 teachers in its payroll after taking one course of the TPD ago. It is not possible. We know promotions are pegged on available funds, not TPD.
He further called on the Teacher Service Commission to budget for or compensate teachers fully if the training must continue.
Teachers are unable and not ready to pay. It is the sole responsibility of the employer to budget and cater for the total costs of any retraining, capacity building, workshops, even including transport, meals, and other incidental costs. Teachers were not consulted.
We now want to take a quick breather. When we come back, more local news as well as business and sports. Do stay with Channel 1.
Mtoto ni nuksi.
Nuksi yake ni nini? Nuksi ya nini hiyo ambayo hata wewe washindwa kunieleza mimi?
Haikuwa ni yangu mimi kuweka hapa kukutesa.
I've gone through a lot. You can kill me if you want.
Kwa yeye ndo amechukua mume wangu na wewe wamjua.
Sijui chochote, mbona mtamkeo na ushindani hivi?
Shukrani yangu kwa kazi yako nzuri mnanifanyia.
Remember what you did to me, because you will regret it. Mark my words.
In order for us to get away with it, I don't just need the details of his accounts. I also need to make sure that the transfer is untraceable.
Why are you acting like this? Is it Constanza?
She wants to meet you two. Are you ready? Yes? Okay.
This is strange. Something has happened.
Not so fast. You and I still have to settle a score. Come on. Do you think you can just come here and steal my fiancé just like that?
Welcome back. You are watching Channel 1 Lunchtime News. Now, Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga has taken his charm offensive back to Mount Kenya region, where he shared his economy revival vision with governors from the area. Raila reiterated the need for peaceful coexistence for a prosperous country. Governors present echoed the former premier's sentiments.
Meetings that we are holding across the country with our people. It is a process of dialogue so that we can be able to identify problems affecting different parts of the country and come up with the requisite policies to address those issues. Who are in the SMEs, and we had a very extensive discussion with them. We also saw an exhibition of goods which are produced through the efforts of these Kenyans. It is very impressive indeed. I had the occasion to talk at length about my vision on the SMEs, so I don't want to repeat. We are here with PNU. And our party has had the discussions with PNU. We have been discussing with Jubilee. And there are several other parties in this region who have expressed desire and interest to work with us. And we will be looking at it on a case-by-case basis.
Fruitful discussion with the Prime Minister, focusing on areas of mutual interest to our region. In particular, we discussed at length the issue of expanding local economic opportunities through the creation of sustainable institutions.
Now, Muslims across the country have been urged to follow the true teachings of religion as the country witnesses an upsurge in deviant teachings. According to scholars from Al-Azhar who presided over a lecture at the Riyadh Mosque in Lamu County, some are taking advantage of the vulnerable youths and changing the course. The scholars who have been on a mission in different parts of the country said the real teachings of Islam is about peace.
Of Islam, which shows that the relationship between a Muslim and others is based on tolerance, justice, and to respect the rights of all. With justice and mutual respect, we build a strong, interconnected, and secure society.
Wito wangu kwa wakazi wa Lamu na Waislamu wa sehemu yote ile ni kuwa tushikamane na Qur'ani. Tukiishika Qur'ani tukaifuata Qur'ani namna inavyotufundisha, basi maisha yetu yatakuwa yamenyoka, yako sawa sawa, na yatakuwa ya sahali, na matatizo yote ya jamii yatasuluhishwa kwa kupitia hii Qur'ani.
Kitabu ambacho kimetupa mafundisho katika kila nyanda, kila field.
Jihadi sio jambo baya katika Uislamu, bali jihadi ilikuja baada kuwa Waislamu wamedhulumiwa, Waislamu wameonewa, ikawa wafanya kwa sababu ya kuihami dini ya Kiislamu. Lakini haimaanishi kwamba Uislamu ni dini ya vita au Uislamu ni dini ya panga, kama wale wanaokuwa na misconception about Islam, wakifahamu makosa zile nususi za Kiislamu.
And the government has rolled out a mass vaccination drive aimed at eradicating rabies in the country by the year 2030. Chief Administrative Secretary of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries and Blue Economy, Lawrence Emuhaka, says currently the Kenya Veterinary Association has pitched tent in Kilifi County, where 10,000 vaccines will be distributed.
A veterinary association was in Malindi, Kilifi County to launch during the anti-rabies vaccination program. 8,000 vaccines were donated by the national government and 2,000 by the county government.
The Kenya Veterinary Association program, they usually have a conference every year, and they move around the country regionally. So this time it was for Coast province, and we decided that it will be held in Kilifi County. So today we have close to 10,000 vaccines that have been donated by the Government of Kenya, Ministry of Agriculture, and we have close to 2,000 donated by the county government of Kilifi. We have
Chief Administrative Secretary, Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries and Blue Economy, Lawrence Emuhaka, said that the implementation of the strategic plan to eradicate rabies in the country is at an advanced stage.
We have vaccinated them against rabies. We have done deworming of some of the animals. We have also vaccinated them against lambskin disease and many other things today.
The national government is working with counties by supporting them with infrastructure, capacity building and donation of vaccines to eradicate the rabies completely.
Setting standards for control, we coordinate different stakeholders to come together and of course advise on the appropriate technologies and how best they can be integrated to remove this constraint from a particular area.
Reporting for Lunchtime News, I am Love Miriam.
And parents have been advised to allow their children venture into careers of their choice. This is according to various literal scholars who converged in Thika during the launch of the novel book titled Billy in the Robotic Universe that has been authored by Joseph Wanjau Kinywa, a class 8 pupil in Kerugoya. According to Dr. Sarah Kimaru Mushai, head of School of Humanities at Mount Kenya University, a number of parents make mistakes by forcing children to pursue careers they don't have a passion in. The author, Joseph, who is set to sit for the national examinations this year, says he used his free time during the COVID-19 pandemic to write the book.
Try tonight.
All of us together, and now specifically to Joseph. Congratulations.
Joseph, who is in class 8, 14 years old, he has written a book which is above 300 pages, and it's a good book, and we are really encouraged, and would wish to encourage many young more people to come up and put their talent into their books, into books, something that can be remembered even in the future.
It was captivating when I was writing the book. I was really engaged. Acknowledge your talents, you can do anything. Age should not be a barrier.
I can say that this is his authentic work. You have seen the original manuscript, which was written with pencil. He has been doing that 10 to 15 pages on daily basis until he was able now to complete the whole work.
The robotic universe. This is.
We take our second break here on Channel 1 Lunchtime News. When we come back, we get into the business news. Stay with us.
You can't be serious. You're suggesting the involvement of the prince in court affairs. He's royalty, which makes that against the rules.
You know Governor Shu still holds a grudge against our family. He's obviously just the one stirring things, trying to embarrass you.
If you want to charge someone, you must have solid evidence, you understand?
It's just a thought, all right?
Don't even think it.
We need to get rid of him as soon as possible.
Yes.
不想见那一人那一面，也不愿你我错过的流年。某一年。
Remember what you did to me, because you will regret it. Mark my words.
In order for us to get away with it, I don't just need the details of his accounts. I also need to make sure that the transfer is untraceable.
Why are you acting like this? Is it Constanza?
She wants to meet you two. Are you ready? Yes? Okay.
This is strange. Something has happened.
Not so fast. You and I still have to settle a score. Come on. Do you think you can just come here and steal my fiancé just like that?
Thank you for staying with Channel 1 Lunchtime News. Now, Sudan's government has reached an agreement with tribal protesters on the resumption of exports via a terminal on the Red Sea. Residents of eastern Sudan, demonstrating against what they say is a lack of political power and poor economic conditions in the region, blocked roads, forcing Red Sea ports to close. Here are the details of these and others from across the continent.
A government delegation headed by a member of the ruling Sovereign Council met tribal elders to secure a deal to allow oil exports from the Bashir port. The Sudanese Energy and Oil Ministry had warned that the port's oil depots would become full in 10 days' time if the blockage continued. This fate would in turn force South Sudanese oil fields to halt production. The protesters have also forced the closure of a pipeline that carries imported crude to the capital Khartoum. Meanwhile, top African oil exporters Nigeria and Angola are struggling to boost output to their OPEC quota levels until at least next year, as underinvestment and nagging maintenance problems continue to hobble output. Their battle mirrors that of several other members of the OPEC group, who curbed production in the past year to support prices when COVID-19 hit demand, but are now failing to ramp up output and meet soaring global fuel needs as economies recover. Nigeria and Angola have underproduced by an average of 276,000 barrels per day so far this year, out of their combined average OPEC quota of 2.83 million barrels per day, according to Refinitiv data. They are likely to remain below quota through the end of the year. The oil not pumped is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Finally, Australia's AVZ Mineral says it had secured a $240 million funding from a private investment firm to develop its lithium project in the Democratic Republic of Congo. AVZ's interest in the project would drop to 51% from 75%, while DRC-owned firm Cominier would retain its 25% stake. The joint venture with Sozo CATH will contribute more than $400 million in total, subject to cost verification, with parties also agreeing to assess the feasibility of developing a lithium hydroxide facility. Reporting for Lunchtime News, my name is Hibak Saeed.
Back home, Absa Bank Kenya PLC has kicked off a digital literacy enhancement program targeting to establish 66 computer labs in schools across the country. The lender is investing 23 million shillings in the nationwide project and will see 1,500 computers donated to different schools in the coming months. Here are the details of these and other stories in our corporate briefs.
Absa Bank Kenya PLC and Computer for Schools Kenya rolled out the initiative at the Kikuyu Township Primary School by donating 20 desktop computers that are fully networked and fitted with relevant software to support learning. The donation was accompanied by desks and tables refurbished from the waste collected during the bank's rebranding exercise completed last year.
We are donating computers and also planting trees. So this is part of our sustainability and citizenship agenda. We have been working with different stakeholders and different partners who have come on board. For example, the Computer for Schools Kenya, who really have driven this agenda within the schools for very many years.
Meanwhile, KenGen has kicked off the construction of a research and development center at Tana Power Station in Murang'a County in a diversification strategy. The construction of the research and development center, which will also double up as an archive for the company, is expected to take 18 months to complete.
It will be for immortalizing all our records and our work. And for sustainability, it will live beyond our generation. Ideas will be conceived that will change our business, that will change the energy sector, and even the country, the region, and the world.
Finally, Equity Group has disbursed 1.65 billion shillings to 71,000 farmers under its farm input subsidy aimed at supporting smallholder farmers to increase productivity and profitability. Equity Group CEO James Mwangi says loans under the program are tied to wallets that can only be redeemed at the 364 pre-qualified agro-dealer outlets. He says the loans are also insured to protect farmers from losses they may incur due to poor harvest, due to unforeseen occurrences like drought, flooding, or pest infestations.
We now want to have an interactive session here in studio, and we want to talk about matters mobile phone uptake. Remember, when COVID-19 hit, there was quite the move towards virtual learning as well as people working remotely, and that drove up the demand for mobile phones and matters like that. So we want to just have that conversation with the PR manager of Oppo Kenya. She is Muthoni Wachira. She's here on set with me. Thank you, Muthoni, for joining us.
Thank you too. I'm so humbled to be here this afternoon.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
So let's just start right there. When COVID-19 hit, how did that impact the tech industry, to be specific, the mobile industry in Kenya where you deal in?
I will say that was actually a good aspect for us, because you see now with guys working from home, it made people become basically content creators, and now the internet became, as a free pastime. And so for the mobile world, it was an opportunity for us to diversify, as well as give people more opportunities to be able to become more creative. So at Oppo Kenya, we have been able to create more and also be able to leverage on the different opportunities that have been given, especially during this COVID-19 situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how have you seen the uptake going, the demand for your goods?
Our demand for our goods has gone quite high. Like I said, the need for content creation has really gone up, and with the world and how we are going in the digital world, for us, our devices have become something that is very keen, and people are really purchasing our devices from a day-to-day basis.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you bring up the issue of content creation, because one of the industries that was hardly hit by the pandemic was the creative industry. I mean, you could not go watch, any show live, and just most of their income streams were blocked. So the digital space provided an outlet for them to give us content as well as, earn some money. So that is driving the industry right now, right?
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. And if you look at some of the trends that have emerged, especially with the COVID, between 2020 and now, has been the rise of also of TikTok and also Instagram, and also Facebook. I'm sure you've seen people who are as old as 50 on social platforms and are wondering what really happened to these people. Is because now with the new technology and with the latest mobile devices that we have, people have resorted into the digital space as, like you're saying, another source of income, and that has been able to sprout out also a new generation of different kind of content creators within the internet.
Right.
Yeah.
So with these uptake, what are the manufacturers, phone manufacturers, just like you and many others, supposed to do? What are they supposed to do to ensure that they tap into this industry?
One of the key learnings for most people in smartphone world has been that we have to move with what is currently there, and that's why you'll see, for example, we have e-commerce has become very, very big on our digital platforms. Everyone is just purchasing a good by the click of a button on social media and saying, hey, I need my goods delivered. So for us, it has also enabled us to be able to think outside the box and understand what it is that our consumers want. They want a device that is pocket friendly, has good charge, and a device that meets basically most of their needs, and also a device that is, cheap on the go and readily available in the store. So for us, it has created that opportunity to think outside the box and also to connect with our consumers on a real time. So at Oppo, for example, we have been able to release and launch two main devices this year, one being the Oppo Reno 5, which we launched earlier this year around March. And that was a device that really taught us that, the world in digital and content creation has really moved ahead. And now that we have the new device that we have in the market, which is the Oppo Reno 6 5G, we have also seen a big intake of it, where our consumers are willing and ready to purchase this device because it has a very good camera. The design is also very nice. The feel is also very nice, and also it is easy on the go for you, and it also keeps your charge for as long as you'd want, depending on how much of a consumer you are with your social platforms.
Right.
Yeah.
So moving forward, what do you foresee for the mobile industry in Kenya?
With the new intake of the 5G as a conversation that has come in, and also having a Safaricom spearhead this conversation, we're looking at a world that has been digitized. We're looking at a world that has grown and a world that is also evolving, and that means that smartphones have to ensure that they give their consumers good quality devices, and that means that you cannot give your consumers devices that are not up to speed. So the tech world is really improving, and like I said, we are moving into a space that requires all of us, especially as content creators, as people in tech world, to be on the move, to be on the go. So give me 5 years from today, I know that the mobile world will have evolved very much, and much of the 5G conversation will be some of the things that are going to be happening around us. Yeah.
So as we come to a close of this conversation,
Yes.
what would be your message to maybe users of your phones, as well as people who are just looking to tap into the use of digital to make some money?
The conversation about e-commerce is greatly important to the people who we are in, especially with the digital world that we're in. So for us, I think e-commerce is the next big thing that we need to focus on as consumers, as well as people in the smartphone industry. For example, we have Jumia, Kilimall, and Sky Garden, whereby by just a tap of a button, you can be able to purchase the new Oppo Reno 6 5G. And also, it gives you an opportunity to be part of the game changer. So 5 years from today, I believe that the conversation in smart world will have moved, whereby we will have moved fully into the digitized space. And as for Oppo, the much that I can say is watch this space. Yeah.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Muthoni Wachira there, the PR manager of Oppo Kenya, for speaking to us about the mobile uptake in the country. Thank you.
Asante.
While we move on to other news, 8 counties risk missing their next disbursements from the National Treasury for flouting recurrent expenditure ceiling rules. Deputy Controller of Budget, Stephen Masha, says the devolved units exceeded the set spending on workers' emoluments that is pegged at 35% of the total county budgets.
Controller of Budget has released disbursement of 10 counties that had been barred from accessing the 29 billion shillings county allocations last month. The office says this after the devolved units submitted their budgets for approval as required by the law. However, 8 devolved units might miss out on the next disbursement for allocating over 50% of their total budget to wages and salaries.
Not more than 35% of the recurrent budget should go towards personnel emoluments.
The county government have been encouraged to rationalize their workforce to reduce the recurrent expenditure. This, coupled with a strong budgetary system and increased resource mobilization, has been earmarked to increase development budgets for the counties.
The county treasuries also have weak budgetary, a number of county treasuries also have weak budgetary control low revenue mobilization capacity and delay in uploading procurement plans into the Integrated Financial Management Information System, which slows the release of funds.
This as the Controller of Budget Office has faulted the passing of supplementary budgets immediately after the main budget.
The credibility of our budgets as a country and the stability of our public financial management is frequently undermined by supplementary budgets that we have noted come in very soon. Some of these come in very soon after a budget has been approved by Parliament or the county assemblies.
County chiefs are being advised to prioritize allocation of more funds to pending bills to increase money circulation. Benson Rioba reporting for Lunchtime News.
38.8 million cyber threats were flagged between April and June this year as cyber criminals increased targets on Kenyans online. The Communications Authority of Kenya attributes the 37.3% quarter-on-quarter increase in cyber threats to targeted attacks at Internet of Things devices, as well as the rise in impersonation, online fraud and online abuse cases arising from increased internet access.
COVID disruptions fueled an increase in the uptake of internet solutions that further saw an upsurge in cyber threat exposure. According to the latest Communication Authority of Kenya statistics, 38.8 million cyber threats events were flagged by the National Kenya Computer Incident Response Team, which was an increase of 37.3% during the first 3 months of this year. This increase is attributed to the rise in impersonation, online fraud and online abuse cases arising from increased internet access. In response to the detected cyber threat attempts, the government issued 25,969 advisories and received 529 digital investigation requests. In hindsight, the total number of active internet subscriptions increased by 12% quarter-on-quarter to 46.7 million. However, mobile data subscriptions constituted over 99% of total data subscriptions, with the highest number of data subscriptions being on data speeds between 2 Mbps and 10, whereas data speeds equal or greater to than 100 Mbps recorded the least number of subscriptions. At the same time, the value of mobile money transfers from business to business declined by 3.7% to 1.7 trillion shillings, while customer to business declined by 7.6% to 998 billion shillings during the period under review, as businesses continued to suffer from the weight of COVID-19 disruptions. However, person-to-person mobile money transfers increased in value to 1 trillion shillings, buoyed by increased cashless transfer strategies. The Communications Authority of Kenya is optimistic the sector will continue to register significant growth in digital transformation as a byproduct of the uptake and use of emerging technologies in government, education, health and agricultural sectors, among others. Regina Manyara reporting for Lunchtime News.
Further afield, the UK government is to suspend competition law to allow oil firms to target fuel deliveries at petrol stations following recent panic buying. Officials say the move will make it easier for companies to share information and prioritize parts of the country most at need of fuel. Here are the details of these and other stories from across the globe.
The decision by the UK government follows days of long queues at the pumps after fears of disruption to the fuel supply sparked panic buying. Ministers are considering deploying the army to deliver fuel. The Petrol Retailers Association has warned that as many as 2/3 of its membership of nearly 5,500 independent outlets are out of fuel, with the rest of them partly dry and running out soon. Announcing the measure to exempt the oil industry from the Competition Act 1998, Business Secretary said the government has long-standing contingency plans to maintain fuel supplies as issues within the supply chains are addressed. Meanwhile, shares of China's Evergrande's electric car unit has plunged as much as 26% after it warned it faced an uncertain future unless it got a swift injection of cash, and after it said it will not proceed with plans to issue RMB shares. The warning by China's Evergrande New Energy Vehicle Group after the market closed on Friday was the clearest sign yet that the embattled property developer's liquidity crisis is worsening in other parts of its business. Shares of the electric car unit slid 2.2%. China Evergrande stock have risen to 5% to steady near the decade low they made last week, while Evergrande dollar bonds were at distressed levels. Finally, Tesla Inc.'s Shanghai factory is expected to produce 300,000 cars in the first 9 months of the year, capped by a delivery rush in the end of July-September quarter, despite a global semiconductor shortage. Around 240,000 vehicles were shipped from the factory in the first 8 months, including many for export. However, Tesla has not announced details on the factory's production in August. An official in the area where Tesla's factory is located said it is expected to produce 450,000 vehicles this year, including 66,100 for export.
Let's do the sport now. Arsenal youthful side swept aside London rivals Tottenham Hotspur in a 3-1 English Premier League victory last evening. 21-year-old Smith Rowe typified the energy in the Arsenal ranks as he scored the first goal and then set up the second for Aubameyang, while Xhaka netted the third goal. Elsewhere, Wolves beat Southampton 1-0 with Raul Jimenez scoring his first goal since returning from a fractured skull.
Big long kick downfield. Jimenez trying to chase. Jimenez getting the better of Bednarek. Jimenez into the penalty area. Coming back in. It's Raul Jimenez! Finally!